Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Tools of the Trade. I'm Tom Williams, the Managing Director of Edge Consulting, and this week we welcome Xander Altman, co-founder and CEO of Scope, an application that is focused on the genesis between customers, vendors, and experts, all in a common user experience. The interesting thing that I found about the Scope platform is that it has all the things that you would expect to see in a project management application. So the scope of services, SOWs, job costing, and assignment of roles to a given project. But the other part of that is the transparency that they provide to customers. So it actually opens up the opportunity for customers to self-serve and be able to activate services engagements on their own. So it's interesting that not only can they provide a self-service activation, but they also would support co-sell engagements or co-sell motions, either with your direct selling team or an indirect selling team. And by extension of that, it also offers the opportunity for referral business to your partners that are services only or provide services in support of your product. So I think you're going to like what you see today. If you have any ideas or suggestions or thoughts, hit us up on Number 10 Software on the Partnership Leaders Slack channel, or you can get me on LinkedIn. Let's get started.
Hey there, I'm Xander Altman, and I'm the founder and CEO at Scope, and I'm here to give you a quick company and product overview. So who is Scope? Well, we started in late 2019. We're backed by Craft and Indicator Ventures, and we are an expert services platform. So what's the problem that we've identified here at Scope? Well, it's quite an obvious problem that we all know, which is that technology companies need services to get their customers live. So what we've done is we've developed a platform to connect your customers with best-in-class experts to get them live. So who are you working with in particular? Well, mainly partnerships and sales teams. And here's a sample of some of the companies that we work with. But let's dive one layer deeper into a use case with Square. So we see about 100 plus customers per month go live using Scope. Most of those customers are coming through a self-service channel that we've built with our API. And we'll get into that a little bit later in the product demo that's going to come up next. And finally, we're seeing dozens of users across sales and partnerships teams using Scope at Square. So let's just jump right into that demo. So up first, we'll do a quick overview of what you as a vendor would see. We'll then show you how to quickly create a project. We'll do project kickoff and progress tracking. And then finally, that customer self-serve piece I was talking to you about. So when you log into Scope, this is what you're going to see in what we call the vendor view. So this will be a full list of all the projects that you have going on at any one point in time. You can come up in here and you can see who your experts are that are already in your network. You can also come in and view the marketplace. You can take a look at all of the experts that we have, who they're verified for, and even search for some ones if you have some in mind. And finally here, Analytics Dashboard gives you a really great quick insight into how your projects are doing, how quickly those customers are turning over, and you're getting them live. So up next, why don't we jump into the best way to create a new project? So what we're going to do is, let's say we get a request from a sales rep to create a new project. So we'll come up here, click New Project, and we need an integration. And we'll have the customer pay for the cost of this project. We can send this to the customer to have them fill out the project details, or we can fill those out, but we'll fill those out just so you can get a feel for what it looks like. So we'll come in here, we'll create the project name. The top priority here will be time. The budget range for this project is between 1,000 and 5,000. That deadline, we'll call it sometime near the end of February, and we can get this thing kicked off, let's say this week. No work has been done, and since no work has been done, we can leave this field blank. We'll put in some additional project details in here, and then we'll click next. And finally, we'll just invite the customer, john@acme.com. Great. And all those requirements are totally customizable based on what the requirements for projects that you see. So what we'll do is we'll click Match with an Expert, and that will then create the project space. The matching process will kick off, and we'll be able to see all of the updates and the proposal here right in the project space that's being created. So that's project kickoff, and progress tracking is coming up next here. So what we'll do is we'll jump into a project that's already in flight, and we can see all the discussions between the expert, the customer, and any additional stakeholders that we maybe have at the agency or through the vendor. We can come in and we can see the progress of the project as it continues to move forward. We can see all these deliverables in here. We can expand them. We can come in and finally take a look at the contract. So that's a bit on the project kickoff and progress tracking. Up next, going to show you how the self-service API works. So let's say I'm a customer now, and I'm trying to get some services from a Barky, which is a vendor that sells a dog English translation tool. So we can just come in and easily say, okay, cool, we need a Barky implementation starting at $1,999. I can click Get an Expert. I can fill this information out, hit Submit. And what's going to happen is in the back end, that project is going to get created on the Scope platform, and I'm going to be able to track that along as the vendor as well. Let's say you wanted to put services behind the four walls of your product. So now as a user of the Barky app, I can come in here and I can easily just select Get an Expert, and I can select support hours, and I can fill out all that information as we saw before. And I can additionally add project details in here. And what's going to happen is that project is again going to get created on the back end. So briefly to cover, we went through the vendor view, creating a project internally, project kickoff and progress tracking, and finally package services offering for customers. Very quickly here, our pricing starts at $500 a month for the basic version, goes all the way up to $1,500 a month, which includes the API. And if you want to get in touch, please feel free to email info@scopeinc.com, and we'll set some time up to talk more about this. And finally, I want to thank you so much for the time and looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.
Hey there, my name is Heather. I work at Square on our partnerships team, and we've been working with Scope since the beginning of 2020. My favorite benefit of working with Scope is just how easy it is to navigate the platform. So if there are any questions that come up about specific projects or briefs, I can almost find answers instantaneously. It's been a huge benefit just to enable internal teams to think more strategically, hand off some of the project work to Scope experts, although there's still, again, a liaison working with them together, but huge, huge time savings.